Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mike Kollin at MikeKollin.com. So this video is going to be a little bit different from probably most of my videos. I'm coming to an awareness. It is a self-awareness, but I don't think it's just me. I think it's what's happening to the world right now. Okay, so one of the things we have been, and I don't just mean we in this country, I mean in the world, we have essentially been taught to disregard our emotions and our feelings, especially men. And I think it's part of men's nature to use their left brain more than, I don't think I know, it is, we're born using our left brain. So essentially, here's what I'm getting to. I'm going to cut right to the chase. We are not using the fullness of who we are. We have been taught you're either left brain or your right brain. Now, there's something, as I look back now, and some people had said some things to me, and they were on target. They were right on top of it, but I was so young, I didn't get it. So when I was a kid, now the Bible does mention about conquering the land, and I remember that, and I just googled it, and it does say that in a few places, but I believe it was in the book of Genesis when God talks about God gave man dominion over the land, the air, the fowls of the air, the this or the that, the animals, the land, the water, the sea, etc. I remember in my mind kind of thinking there was this sense of we had to conquer the land first. That was one of our first goals before humans can move on to the next level. So when I really became aware of it, I was in my mid-20s watching television. I was watching the science, what do they call it? The Science Channel, I believe it was called. Now at this point, I was deep into psychology. I was studying NLP and hypnosis every day for 4 hours, and timeline therapy and anything I get my hands on. I'm going to all the certification courses and trainings, etc., etc. So when this video or TV show popped up about the human brain, I was like, oh, okay, it's kind of interested. At first I wasn't, because it really, it's kind of funny, because even though that's what I study a lot, it doesn't really interest me unless it's, I guess, put in a very kind of specific way that I enjoy. And as I was watching, I was like, wow, I did not know that. So here's essentially what it was. By the way, we are going through a shift right now. This is why I'm making this video. I'm exhausted. I pulled an all-nighter again for my business. I'm tired, but I want this to get out today on the 10th, okay? October is 10th and the 10th day. So I just heard recently there's an opening that it opened up they call it a portal. It actually opened up a day early. And I thought, yeah, I've talked about this stuff before, but today something physically happened with me today, so that's why I'm making this video. Okay, so one of the things this Science Channel talked about was essentially the cavemen. They used to have to walk everywhere. They didn't even have horses in the beginning. And so every day it was literally food. It was get food, get water. That was it. So one of the things the channel said is, well, the caveman essentially spent, it was 80% of his time getting food, getting water, and walking from point A to point B. It was just all of his physical energy was used for getting food and resources. That was it. There was no higher thinking. There was no higher level of living. That was life, survival. So then it talked about how it began to make connections between the left brain and the right brain, and all of a sudden communication began to flow. So instead of either being in left or being in right, now information could transfer from one side to the other, and I believe it then said there was a connection between the lower reptilian brain and the left and right brain, etc. And so what happened is the challenge was, yeah, you're more intelligent, but you began to burn up more energy, just like our modern day computers. They're getting faster and faster and faster, but they use more energy, they use more space, they need more memory, etc., etc., etc. So it was kind of a trade-off because now the brain is beginning to use more energy and more resources that used to be left for the muscles to begin to hunt and climb and walk for miles and run after animals and lift and carry the animals back. So now all of a sudden it's kind of like, okay, well, we're going to have to conserve our physical energy because our brain's starting to eat up more and more of that energy. So it was kind of a dangerous trade-off, is we didn't just have this unlimited amount of physical energy just to go on and on forever. Like the food now has to be, you have to figure out a faster, easier way to get the food because we don't have quite as much energy for the muscles. Now this is a big important part of our evolution and what I'm leading to what's happening right now in society, in the world right now. So the brain's starting to burn up more energy. Well, then as we began to evolve more, now I'm kind of skipping, like really taking this hour-long video and really chopping it down to the nitty-gritty now. So then what happened was the ultimate thing was we had this thin sheath of kind of like, not like, it's like skin because it was thin. It is thin. But what happened, it went over the entire brain from left to right, top, front to back, all the way to the back, etc. Now what this did, it's a neural network that connects all of the brain, front to back, left to right, left front corner to rear right corner to right front corner to middle to center to, I mean, everything is now connected. Now there's this massive amount of information that can be transferred from one point to the other. So essentially, our processor is now at a much higher level than it's ever been at before. Now here's the interesting thing. Now it's burning up a lot more energy. In fact, they say that the human brain, I think it burns up the most energy in the human body, or it's the second most. Your intestines are number one. That's why when you eat food in a certain way, you don't burn up as much energy and you get more energy from it. Okay, it's something called food combining. It makes you feel a lot more energized. That's why some people, they just seem to have energy. They go on and on and on, right? So here's the challenge. The human brain is now directly competing with the body for energy. In fact, it can burn up even more energy, especially when you're using the right brain, the creative brain. That brain uses a lot of energy. The logical brain uses second to most, and the lower reptilian brain is when you're conserving your energy. Now here's the challenge. Because the brain uses up so much energy now, the brain is now required to figure out ways to get food in a much faster, easier, and better way, because the human body doesn't have as much energy from the food as it used to. Now suddenly the brain is just burning up that fuel. So human beings now, we are at a place where we should be fully functioning beings, but the thing is we're actually not. Most human beings are not using this fully developed connection that we have neurologically in our brain. Most people are using either left or right. They're not using not just left and right, which that connection was made a long time ago, and I mean thousands of years ago. But I'm talking about that plus the sheath of neuro connections on up and around the brain on the top and to the sides and the back. It's almost as if it's turned off. So one thing we know is that fear, narcissist abuse, shame, guilt, all that stuff turns that off. Okay, not only that part, but even the connection between the left side and the right side. From the very beginning of the book of Genesis, we were always meant to get to a stage where we just create. We are supposed to be creative beings, creating thoughts, ideas, images, anything, better machines, better computers, better everything. The challenge is most human beings are just left or they're right. Now here's the thing about me that I alluded to very early on in this video, was that people would come up to me and they would kind of say something and they'd be very almost enthusiastic about it. Maybe not quite understanding what they're saying, but having a realization at the same time. And I didn't get it. I mean, I was like, kind of like, yeah, okay, yeah. And so here's what it was. Okay, I was captain of the football team when I was in high school. We were a really good team. We were ranked number, I think it was 12th or 14th in the nation at one point, and then we dropped down to 18, and we were like number 2 or 3 in the state of California. We were a good team. Okay, I mean like really good team. So I remember during the middle of this season, I was the hardest hitter, not only on the team, but I won an award for our section, the hardest hitter in the entire section, which was, I think it was 100 schools or something like that. We have the biggest section in California. So one of our offensive linemen came up and sat next to me at lunch out on the quad, and he's kind of grinning it from ear to ear. I'm like, what? He goes, you're just so... He goes, you kind of, I don't know, remember how he get, not that, he didn't say you don't make sense, or it was just, I'm just going to paraphrase, because I don't remember word for it, because he goes, you're just, something about you, he goes, you're like the toughest guy on campus. I'm like, yeah, and yet, you're like this cuddly, cute guy, you're like the nicest guy in the world, and I'm like, well, yeah. So, what I'm alluding to is I've heard similar things, like, it's what I call being soft and hard at the same time. I just wrote a blog about this. It's man, how to explain this? Your power comes from being soft. Now, I didn't say either or. See, okay, in martial arts, we call it, there's either the hard way or the soft way. There's the way of water, and there's the way of, I forget, I'm drawing the, can't remember the other one, the way I'm going to call it iron, okay, which is the closed fist. So the soft way, or the way of water, is the open palm. That's more like wrestling. That's when you move people's energy. They come at you, step out of the way, and then you softly grab them with your hand, like their shirt, and you pull them past you, like you go with their energy. That's the way of water. The hard way is the fist, where you're hitting things. It's contact on contact. It's collision. What most human beings don't understand. Now, people that compete at very high levels in football, boxing, kickboxing, racing, pretty much anything, basketball, anything, they understand it's not just about being strong. You have to use your fluidity. You have to use your naturalness and your grace, because that's what it creates explosive power. To become fast, quick, explosive, and powerful, to have impact, comes from the soft way. All right, I got a perfect example. So when I started learning how to do the roundhouse, one of the abilities that I already had at that age, I was only 20, 21 years old, it was, I understood, because of boxing, like, in order to really like generate power, you had to kind of like move your body, twist your body, and yet leave your arm kind of loose and let it follow behind like a rubber band. When they started teaching me the kickboxing, like, no, don't muscle it. If you muscle it, you're going to slow it down. You want it to be like a rubber band. You want it to snap. You want it like it stretches, and then you let it go, and then it snaps. And that was what will create the power when you rotate your body all the way around. Okay, it's like you start to rotate your body, but your knee and your foot lags back. It's like you're stretching the rubber band, and at the very last minute, you let it go, and it slaps it. And but here's the thing: that's what creates much more explosive power. Same thing when you roll up a towel and you dip the very end of it in water and you whip it at someone. It's a crack. It's the whip, and you have to be really fluid and just snap it. If you try to force it at all, it slows it down. You don't get that explosive impact. So we're talking about male and female energy. Now, I don't mean men and women. Women tend to have more of the female energy, though, because that's the right brain. They're born using that, okay? But in this sense, I literally mean left brain, right brain, and or electricity and energy. So like I've said in the past, you have the male part of the electrical cord and the female. The male energy comes from in California, we call it Pacific Gas and Electric Company. So from the electric company, when it leaves the factory, that's male energy because it's external. It's leaving, it's going outside. And then when it goes inside your house, inside your light, now that penetrates, like male energy, like the sexual energy, as men do, we penetrate women. So it goes into the light bulb. The minute it goes past the halfway mark, it's returning, and that returning energy is called the feminine or the female energy. This is in your heart. Your heart pushes, it squeezes, and it pulls. It squeezes and it pulls, or it pushes and it opens, okay? The closed way is male, the open way is the female. This is in every single thing. We breathe in, we breathe out. The breathe in is the feminine, the breathe out is the masculine. So at a very young age, I learned this, and I walked around living in this both left and right brain kind of way. I would cry when I needed to. I would kick ass when I needed to. See, here's the thing that happens with most people. They'll read about someone called Jesus, like, oh yeah, it's about being soft all the time. No, it's not. It is that Jesus does not teach that. He's coming back as the roaring lion to devour, which means to destroy. He himself says, hey, I did not come to bring peace. He came to bring division between mother and father, between children and parents, etc. This is a tough road, but it's not as tough as long as you learn how to balance both energies. So I'm at a place right now of what I believe. Here, let me look it up. Hold on. Okay, so I found it. So in my video, God Wants You to Be Happy, which is just about 4 or 5 videos back, Stacy West said grace. Now in that video I was talking about, like, I'm at this new place, something shifted, something changed. I cannot explain it. There's no resistance. There's no internal resistance. There's no doubt. There's no questioning. There's just like, okay, well, let's just see what happens and let's just do it. So essentially, it's like living life without the brakes on. Most people go, they got the brakes on, they got the gas on at the same time, they get herky jerks the car, and that's doubt, and that's confusion, and that's uncertainty, and that's fear, and that's, it's like, it's just gone. And so what Stacy said is she wrote down the word grace. Because I was saying, I don't know how to explain what this is. It's just grace. Now here's the deal, it's not weakness and it's not perfection. That's a lot of people get those. For some reason people think, oh, it's all about perfection. It's not about perfection. It never has been. That's the complete opposite of what we're talking about. Alright, the other thing is it's not about weakness. So the funny thing is a lot of people like, yeah, you said soft energy. Yeah, because soft energy kicks ass. Alright, for example, when I first learned boxing, and my coach said, keep your elbows in and keep your gloves right touching your cheek, and like you're like this robot, walking out to the middle of the ring, and you're kind of bopping each other. And I remember, I think it was the third fight or something. I don't remember what fight it was, but I remember just like, I can't fight like that. I can't win that way, and I've just got to do it my way. And I'm yelling at the coach in between rounds. He's like, Mike, keep your hand. I'm like, I can't do it like that. So I was fighting a guy that I was better than, and I knew I was better than this guy. And yet he was keeping up to me and maybe even possibly beating me by 1 point. It's like, I'm not going to freaking lose because you guys want me to fight this way. So I went out there and fought my way, and I just completely loosened up. I took my foot off the brakes, and I just started snapping my jab and move, snap and move, snap and move, overhand right. And it was phenomenal. I felt good. I flowed. I was moving in and out like Muhammad Ali, float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. Right there, that's it right there. It's the male energy and the female energy, the hard and the soft combined. It's not either or. So I learned at a very young age how to do this, and I began to live my life this way with everything. So where we're at as a society, and I believe today's portal, if you guys have had some emotions today kind of out of nowhere, it's the portal opening up. It's helping your energy to open up. One of the things I believe the church has done to Mary Magdalene is they have basically painted a picture of her that was not true. I'm coming to believe and understand now that Mary Magdalene was a very, what's the word? I don't want to say it in the way that I normally say it, but let me start from there and lead into it. I think I'll find the right words. She was a very right-brain being. She was a very soft being, and that's where the spiritual power exists. And that's the thing. If you guys really want spiritual power, social power, it comes from the... I'm going to say it this way, and then let me go to the next one. It's like the right-brain way of being, the female energy, the feminine energy. Now, here, okay. A lot of guys are like, what do you mean female energy? I'm a man. Well, that's your ego talking. You're not a man if you're not open to your right brain. If you're stuck in your linear logical... By the way, the left brain, I'm just going to say it. The left brain is the ego. Period. It's the closed brain. But I don't want to get my feelings hurt. And a lot of men are terrified of opening up emotionally. Here's the funny thing. When you open up emotionally, you don't get your feelings hurt. This is what Bruce Lee meant when he said, don't be like a brick wall, be like fog. Because you can't hit fog, but you can hit a brick wall. So when someone says something mean or does something mean, it doesn't hurt. So the difference between where I'm at now and where I've been my whole life, I got really good for the last 15, 20 years of learning how to enter that state, which is something I can teach you guys. It's the internal awareness course, where you just expand your energy and people don't hurt you. See, when your energy is concentrated like a laser beam, when someone pokes you and attacks you, that's when it hurts, because everything's concentrated. It's hard. But when you're soft, it goes right through you and doesn't bother you. So the thing about Mary Magdalene, what we're beginning to hear now is the newer books are being read and the new manuscripts and stuff, is she was essentially, essentially shut down by the church. She's this bad woman. She had demons and Jesus had to take the demons out and blah, blah, blah. And whether that's true or not, it doesn't matter. The real gift of Mary Magdalene is she was the walking embodiment of spirit. She was the walking embodiment of the spiritual feminine energy. That's where I believe we are going now as a society. I believe that was shut down a long time ago. The fact that most humans on the planet are still either or, left or right, that's caveman stuff. Now, I'm not blaming the majority of people. I'm blaming the upper echelon who have kept us in a constant state of fear, constantly dividing us, doing everything they can, from making violent movies to creating violence to whatever, to keep people shut down. Now, here's the funny thing. People that are shut down, they're terrified of opening up. And I don't really blame them, because the more you open up, you have to go through this illusionary fear state. And man, does it seem real. But when you come through it, you're like, oh, that was all in my head. That was all in my mind. Like, yeah. It's a really diabolical thing, because you're just like, no, because you really feel like you're going to go through the most terrifying thing in your life. And the thing is, it's not like you just go through it once. You go through a series of these things. So a lot of people essentially are just not brave enough to go through the fire more than once. And they are even helping the elites, or whatever you want to call them, to keep everyone shut down. Like, no, keep the fear going, like keep the violence going, keep the street crime. Like in America, we got a lot of crime going on right now. It's really out of control, and people don't seem to care. It's because it keeps people in a state of fear. Therefore, we're all shut down. Therefore, blah, blah, blah. Therefore, you can't see all who I am. Not only can we not see them, but they can't see themselves, and that's a good thing, because they don't want to deal with their issues. Shh. So one thing about opening up, so you always hear people, especially not only in relationships, but you would hear, at times, like, it's like, I feel like you don't even see me. I'm not even seen. You don't know me. You don't see me. Well, someone like me comes along and I'm wide open. And I see you. All of you. Even the parts of you that you have completely lost any idea of many, many years ago. My very presence will bring up your awareness to these parts. Now, here's the thing. I'm not focusing on anything. In fact, I'm doing the opposite. I'm just completely wide open. And by being wide open, I can see you, all of you. It has what's the word I'm looking for? It has an equal and opposite reaction. Some people really love it. They feel seen for the first time in their lives. They feel comfortable. They feel loved. Then there's the people who have been hiding from themselves and hiding themselves from other people their whole lives. And when I walk into the room, they're revealed. Now, I don't mean that in a bad way, but it's like I see all of you. And that person may have even cried out to the friends, like, I just feel like no one sees who I truly am. Well, what you're really saying is you don't see who you truly are, because you've been hiding from yourself. And those parts of you are what's actually crying out to your friends of, I don't feel like I'm seen. I don't feel like I'm heard. I don't feel like... It's because you are not seeing yourself. You're not seen by the core you. You are ignoring you. You're not hearing you. And what happens is people that don't want to see all of who they are. They generally tend to project this, well, other people don't see me. No, other people see you the moment that you see you. So a lot of people will be attracted to me, and I don't mean like sexy attraction, but I mean like there's just something about me. The challenge is once they start spending time with me, now here's the thing, I'm not doing anything except being wide open. There's this process of them starting to see themselves, and for a lot of people, yeah, like no, and then boom, they're just like gone. So what's happening right now in the world is enough people are beginning to open up, and people are beginning to see themselves and to see the parts of them that aren't perfect, that they want to heal, that need to be healed and loved and connected to. And it's not the easiest thing to do for some people. For some people, it's just kind of part of who we are. This is just what we do. Now here's the deal. We have been told and taught, and I remember in church, this was in the 80s, I remember, and I was going to psychology classes and going to church at the same time. There's something else that I was studying. I know it was NLP and Ericksonian hypnosis, but they were saying to include them, whereas psychology was talking about the left brain, the right brain, and basically emotions bad, rules good. You got to have rules. This is how you make a marriage work. Rules, step 1, step 2. And the church was saying the same thing. Oh, the emotions, that's crazy. You got to be focused. You've got to be, can't think of the right word right now, but essentially you got to follow the rules. You got to be disciplined. You got to be, there's another word I'm looking for, can't find it. And it was like everywhere I turned, everyone was saying right brain bad, emotions bad. And I was like, yeah, I don't think so. Oh, no. This was actually just before I heard of NLP. I remember in psychology class telling myself, I'm going to find a way to where all the systems are going to work together. Because I think that's what the problem is. They were dividing it. And that's essentially what I meant when, 80% of the people on the planet, they're not fully functioning beings. Because we were not, I'm just going to say, we were not raised that way. We were not taught that way. Our movies, our education, our society is constantly saying, oh, emotions bad. Maybe not so much now, but they were back then. So here's the thing. Emotions carry massive amounts of information. Thinking is literally, it's the linear brains. It goes down a little skinny, thin line, and that's all the information that can go down that line. It's not very much compared to emotions is wide open. You could, now watch this. Here's the thing. When you try to download a lot of information through that narrow, it's like you're looking through a straw, or a little bit of straw. Straw's going to your forehead, and that's how much information's coming through. Imagine it being completely wide open. The straw's not even there. It's wide open all the way around you, all the way above you, all the way beneath you. You can download massive amounts of information when you're open, and you don't get a headache. You don't get exhausted. You don't get tired. You don't get stressed. But when you're trying to cram all that information through a tiny little straw, not only are you getting less than 1% of 1% of 1%, it's exhausting. It stresses you out. So emotions are our power. When it comes to sports, when it comes to performing, when it comes to singing, when it becomes to communicating, when it comes to love, when it comes to everything, even work, emotions are the highest level of information transfer. I believe humans are on the precipice of shifting over to opening up and accessing massive amounts of information. Now, during the decades I've been doing energy healing, you go through levels of there was about a 6-month period of time where I cried and cried for about it was either 6 months or it was 9 months. It was a long period of time, but it felt great. It wasn't it was the opposite of depression, but it was extremely emotional, and this feeling was like going all the way down through my head, into my heart, into my solar plexus, down into my gut and my belly area, to call it down to your sacral chakra. It was like this burning almost, I don't know how to explain it. Did you ever watch that movie? I think it was called Lucy. Yes, it was called Lucy with Scarlett Johansson, and She essentially took this really high form of medical grade drugs, essentially, and they were basically some. Apparently, she was in Asia somewhere. I don't know where, but they basically had cut her open and they put bags of this drugs inside her body. I don't know if it's in her stomach, but in her gut somewhere. And she was kind of handcuffed, and this guy came in and kicked her in the gut, and it opened the bag, and it slowly started spilling into her system. And it makes you unbelievably intelligent, and you're never supposed to do that amount, but it made her just extremely intelligent. And she was going through levels and phases. And at one phase, she called her mom. She's like, "Mom, I feel everything." She was explaining how she feels, like, people's emotions. She feels light, she feels noise, she can feel her mom's breathing. She feels everything, like at such an intense level. She feels the stars and other galaxies. It was just this amazing expansive awareness of feelings. The minute I heard that, I was like, man, that's exactly what that 9 months was like for me. It was just this overwhelming sense of feeling everything. So essentially what was happening was I was letting go of limiting blockages and expanding wide open, okay? So I can be very much in the present moment and just see through. And here's the, I'm at a point now where I don't have to do these techniques. I used to have to do internal awareness techniques every day, maybe multiple times a day. Then I got to the point where I could just ground myself using some techniques and I'd basically be there for hours, but now I'm just there all the time. How to explain this? Not only do I not know how to come out of it, I don't want to come out of it. Now I know I've said this in the past, but I don't think I've said this in this video. About 12 or 13 years ago, I was at the Chamber of Commerce office. And I was just talking to one of the ladies in the office, and there was a guy that came in who was a member. And I think there was 4 of us, and they're like, "Well, what do you do?" And I said, "Well, male to female communication, left brain, the right brain, this and that." I go, "Our true power comes from our right brain." And the left brain was really just designed to create this structure for the right brain to thrive. And they're kind of like, "Oh, okay." And I think at the time, I was probably 39 years old, and they kind of gave me a weird look. And I said, "That's where the human race is going right now." Now, these are business people I'm talking about, very left brain people. And they kind of looked at me with a grin like, no, Mike, that's not what's going on. I'm like, no, the human race is definitely going. Like, if men do not learn how to use their right brain, they are going to fall behind. And that's exactly what's happening in the world. So the advancement of society, of world, of humans is going to be this accessing both left and right and lower reptilian brain at the same time. I believe the shift that's happening today is causing another level of that for more people to open up. This may cause you to be emotional. This may cause you to cry. This may cause you to laugh. It may cause you to really feel music. Like right now, I am feeling music at a level that's just like, when you put on music and you can feel it, like it feels awesome. That's where I'm at right now. So this is what that guy was saying to me, at lunch on campus on the quad. He goes, "You're different. You're just." If I could go back now, like, yeah, I'm both left and right. I'm not just left, like most men, like most guys. I'm not this macho guy. For men to open up to the right brain, it is a tremendous commitment of faith. That's what I do in my course, Crack the Female Code. I work with you and condition this into you to open up again and again. And you're not going to get stuck there. It will take you many, many years. You never get stuck there, but it'll take you many years to even stay open for hours. But you can learn how to access it when you get really good at doing this. So it helps me. Okay. See, most men walk around hiding from themselves like a little boy hiding behind the couch. And they're closing their eyes and they're talking like this. They got the wall up, And my niece said, "Well, what, Uncle Michael, why do men look like little boys?" I'm like, "What do you mean?" And she pointed to this guy who was definitely in his 60s. I go, "You mean even older men?" She goes, "Yeah." I'm like, "Well, essentially they're hiding. They're hiding behind their ego. And it makes you a little boy. But from your perspective, I'm a man. Look at me, I'm a man." Well, if you're a man, you don't have to tell people you're a man, right? So a mature male is someone who learns how to open up to his right brain. Now here's the thing. Your right brain is your emotions. Without your emotions, you have no power. Your emotions are your fuel or your gasoline for your Ferrari. I don't care how powerful your engine is in your car. If you don't have fuel to power it, you have nothing. Maturity is allowing yourself to feel the pain of life, to experience it, to learn from it, to heal from it. Hiding from it, well, that's actually immaturity. So for people who hide behind their masks, when I walk in the room, they don't like it. Their mask dissolves, it disappears while I'm there, and it's not even that it would dissolve to other people. It dissolves to themselves. Here's the interesting thing. Everybody loves that feeling of when your mask comes off. You're just you, and for that moment you feel great, but then something comes up and they're like, and then they go back into hiding. Not everyone. But here's the deal. A lot of these people, not a lot, almost all of them complain about not having power in life, not having the money, not having the girl, not having the success that they wanted in life or the freedom, and it's because you're hiding from your own power. You're pushing your power away when you hide from yourself. Yourself literally is your power. Your emotions are your power. Period. What I specialize in is helping people to open back up to their own power. Nobody took it from you. You hid from it. This is the book of Genesis coming to life. This is the book of Genesis, chapter 2, verse 25, all the way through the 3rd chapter. Here's the thing. It was all an illusion. The shame, humiliation, all that stuff, it's all an illusion. Now, I admit, when you're on that side of the fence, it's like, no, this is not an illusion, Mike, because it's terrifying. I get it. And here's the thing. It's not like you just go through this one ceremony and it's done, or you go through this one humiliation. Oh my God, this sucks, and you get, okay, I'm all done with it. No, then you live like that for a while. And life is a little bit better. Then you got to go through another one. See, the more power you want, the more you have to go through your own lies, your own illusions. You have to stop lying to yourself. You have to stop hiding from yourself. The whole goal of all of this was for you to step into your power. That's what this was always about. The thing is, you can't just receive all of it at once. It will overwhelm you on a level that you can't even imagine. Now, how do I know? Because I've been through it. That 9-month period of time when I mean cry, it was like water faucets just pouring and pouring. I would literally have to drink water because it would dehydrate me. I'm not kidding. But it was such a cleansing experience. Here, okay, let me explain this part about it. I would curl up in bed because it was like this thing was expanding wide open, and what happened was there was tremendous amount of anxiety in my gut. And I knew at the time, because I practiced this technique, it's a technique I'll eventually teach you, I had to let go. There's this technique of, I'm not going to explain it. It's just this internal awareness technique where you completely surrender to it. You completely surrender, but everything about you wants to clench. It's kind of like when you get hurt and you want to clamp down, and when someone embarrasses you, kind of tighten up your gut and your chest because you feel bad. Well, that makes it worse. When you completely learn how to relax everything and allow it to happen, the shame and humiliation goes away. When I finally completely surrendered to it, it was like, oh, it's not only like I could breathe, my energy could breathe. Now here's the thing, it wasn't like I just did it once and that was it. No, this kept happening. And it was like a daily thing. It had to keep like, and it didn't happen like in 30 seconds. It was like I would have to really lay down and just completely surrender. It was just, but then when I did, it was worth it. And the funny thing is, every time the next day I'd tighten back up, it was like, oh, and you don't want to do it. But I knew on some level, like, I'm just going to suffer if I don't. Let's put it this way. It was worse than any kickboxing match I've ever done, any football game, any boxing match, any fight I've ever been in. It was way more terrifying than any of those things combined. But it was worth it. I believe a portal to your emotions just opened up today. Because that's where your intelligence is. That's where the massive amounts of information exists. And that's why they kept us divided. That's why we were taught, oh, it's all about logic. Got to follow the rules. Thinking. No, that's the smallest part of your brain. That's the smallest access to your information. I believe the human race in the next couple of weeks is going to experience a transformation like never before. It may happen slowly, it may happen quickly, but there's going to be a shift, and we are going faster and faster and faster. The way to go through this is smoothly, like a canoe on a river. You're going with the water, not against it. Take your foot off the brake, because I'm telling you, it's going to be a rough ride if you have your foot on the brake. If you take your foot off the brake, you're going to be blown away at how awesome this experience becomes. I also believe there's going to be a release of emotions. Don't be surprised if some of your friends are crying and people that you've never seen cry. Don't be surprised if you just burst out in tears one day. It's going to be a release, like an opening. Alright, God bless you guys. I hope this video touched you. I hope in some way this helps you get through this. Alright guys, I'll see you on the other side in the next video. God bless you. I'll see you soon. Remember, click subscribe, click the like button, and if you want, you can go ahead and make a donation. There's a PayPal link right there in the description box. God bless you guys. I'll see you soon.